Let's take a look now at an economy nestled in the southern eastern part of sub-Saharan Africa, and one which is well known not only for its beautiful landscape, but of course also experiencing some opportunities with regard to the gas opportunities that exist there to unpack more economic potential. Celeste, Mozambique. I think for many certainly springs to mind that it is an economy that could be thriving, but given the latest developments regarding Cyclone Idai damaging households and the livelihoods of many individuals, what has the impact been on the economy?
Well, firstly, just to reiterate that we are very positive on Mozambique's future outlook, specifically from a long-term perspective with that oil and gas. The tailwinds are significant, and there's extra tailwinds now that we're going to see reconstruction after the two cyclones hit a few months back. So that's also going to boost infrastructure spend. Of course, we need to highlight what's happening in the short to medium term, what's happened with the cyclones, and with the deterioration of the infrastructure, that we will see a drop in the growth rates over the next 2 years. But that will naturally recover with foreign direct investment coming into the market, specifically focused at the resources sector. So with that, we expect a 2.5% growth rate for the next 2 years, but then we would potentially see double-digit growth in 2023, 2024, when that oil and gas comes online.
Let's talk oil and gas, because that's always been regarded as the panacea to conquer Mozambique's economic challenges. Is that still the case?
Absolutely. I think from what the government were expecting and what we've been expecting are different. Mostly governments expect production to come online much earlier than what has been expected across Africa. So from that perspective, we saw the government initially thinking it will be 2021, 2022. But of course, what we've been seeing with oil and gas prices of late, that has pushed the investment out a bit further. But what we've been seeing now from companies coming into the market, we've got ENI and ExxonMobil. We have also seen that Anadarko has signed its final investment agreement, and that will also bring in about $25 billion into the market. So we are seeing that investment coming in.
If we take a look at some of the economic data, inflation has managed to slow, but what does that tell us about the outlook and, of course, the monetary policy stance?
Yes, inflation definitely slowed down because of what we've been seeing, a very stable medical over the past few years, and that has been driven by this foreign direct investment coming into the market. However, we have to highlight again with the cyclones that is going to affect inflation over the next few months and potentially over the next 2 years. The biggest effect or filter through would be into your food prices, because we have seen that the cyclone has affected the harvests. It's also affected infrastructure to get your food from point A to point B. So unfortunately, for now, we will see an uptick in inflation, but we will see that the central bank will make sure that inflation does not get out of hand. And also another positive is that the currency is relatively stable, so that will keep hyperinflation out of the way.
A good indicator for the government though, but the main concern is funding.
So unfortunately at the moment, without IMF support and with our donor funding, we have seen pressure on the fiscal or the fiscus of the government. However, if we look at the future, the funding that will be coming in from these new sectors coming online, oil and gas particularly, also again the foreign direct investment coming into these markets, and then we also expect the government to improve its tax collections, we will see that the fiscus will not be under pressure as we've been seeing over the past few years. Of course, you've got an election coming up. Of course, they need to spend to build the infrastructure again after the cyclone. So we do believe that the fiscus is going to have some pressure over the next 2 years. But in future, when we see this influx of revenues coming in, that would definitely bring that budget deficit down.
Despite some of these headwinds and the challenges regarding the cyclone and added pressure on the fiscus to continue investing in picking up on reinvestment in infrastructure, the currency, the Mozambican metical, has remained quite stable. Why is that?
Well, firstly, the demand in the market for dollars have been less than what we have seen in previous years. So that's been taking the pressure off. And also because the currency tends to be volatile in times when the commodity prices are low, or in times when you see devastations like a cyclone hit. We have seen the central bank stepping in and curbing your commercial banks from entering your FX and swaps markets or your forwards markets. So that has brought down the demand for overall dollars in the market. So that has remained very stable. Also, with foreign direct investment, as I've mentioned earlier, coming into the market, so that's dollars coming into the market, helping the central bank to maintain a stable currency. However, we do always say that the Metacal is on a depreciatory trend. It is natural, as we see in most African countries. And the reason for this is it's got both a current account and a fiscal deficit. So naturally, we will see a depreciatory trend. However, we believe the central bank will keep that trend quite contained. So we will see a stable depreciation over the next 2 years. And then, of course, when the oil and gas comes online, that will bring in significant dollar revenues, and that could in fact appreciate the currency in the next few years.